Hello, this short tutorial video is aimed at showing you how to set up a meeting within the Teams video conference environment. I'm actually going to show you two ways of doing it so that you can use whichever one is the simplest for you, or the one that looks most familiar. The advantage of setting up your Teams meetings in this way is that it makes sure that nobody will be in the meeting as a guest, because as you probably know, if you're a guest, you don't get access to some of the features like the chat facility. So here we are, we're in our familiar Teams screen, and we move across here and you'll see there's a familiar icon that takes you through to your calendar. In this calendar you have all your normal meetings that have already been set up, but now we want to schedule a new meeting. So I'm moving over to the top right and you'll see there's an option here to set up a new meeting. Incidentally, if you want to do an instant meeting, then of course you can simply click on the Meet Now icon. But we're looking at a new scheduled meeting. You'll get a very familiar setup meeting option, just the same as you see when you're in Outlook. So let's enter our meeting title. I'm just going to call it Test Meeting How To. The next thing that you need to do is to add some required attendees. So if we click on that and we start typing out names, you'll see that familiar names start to pop up and we can add them. So I've added my first person to the meeting. If I want to add a second one, I start typing a name and I can add my good colleague David Douglas to the meeting, or my colleague Chris, etc. For now, I'm just going to stick with the one person in my meeting. The next thing that we're going to do is to set the date for the meeting. Let's say we want to schedule a meeting for tomorrow. We set the date, and let's say we're going to set it for an afternoon meeting. So we set the time for 2:30, and the duration, 30 minutes, is probably going to be enough for our meeting. We don't need to add a channel, we don't need to add a location. If we've got any other information that we wish to provide, we can add this to the bottom here. I'm just going to make a note that this is only a test meeting, just so that there's no confusion. And when I click send, that meeting request will go off, and you can see it's now appeared in my calendar. This is the second way to set up a meeting that you're going to hold within Teams. Some users may prefer this version because this is using the more familiar Outlook meeting invite facility. So here we are in Outlook. The first stage of the process is to tick on the little calendar icon that you have within your screen, and this will bring up your familiar activities. Step one then is to click on New Event. You can add a title to your event, so we're just going to call this one Test Event to make it clear that this is not a genuine meeting, and we're going to add some invitees. I'm going to add my colleague Varuni to the meeting, and of course if I wanted to add others in the normal fashion, if I just start typing out their name, you'll see that familiar names start to come to the top of the list. Let's move on. The next stage is to set a date for the meeting, and again, exactly like you do in your normal Outlook, you choose your chosen date and the times for your meeting, and whether it's going to be an all-day meeting or anything else. Here comes the absolutely crucial bit. See this little bit here that says Teams Meeting? Click that so that it's showing up exactly as it is here as being a Teams meeting, and then in exactly the same way that you normally do, click send, and that meeting request will go off, and you'll see it's appeared here in my calendar. As the organizer of a meeting, it's possible that you wish to share a number of files with people that are being invited to your video conference so that they've had a chance to review those ahead of the meeting. To do that, you simply go to your meeting. So here we are. I'm going to enter my meeting, and you'll see it's all been set up as we looked at previously. And you'll see up at the top here we have a number of different options. The option we want to look at is files. So I'm going to click on files. You'll see I've already uploaded one document, but if I want to upload a second document, I simply go to my file sharer and click and drag the document that I wish to share to the meeting into here, and it will simply upload to the meeting, making it accessible to anybody who's now going to join that meeting. The final part of this short presentation is showing you the most effective way of joining a meeting to make sure you get use of all the facilities like the chat room and other areas. So we'll go back to our little test meeting, and you'll see up in the top right hand corner here there's a button called Join. When you click on that, it will take you through to your familiar screen, your familiar Join Now screen. Now, before you join the meeting, you have a number of choices. Choice number one, which is always a good one to make, is that you can switch off your microphone so that it's immediately muted ahead of you joining the meeting. That's a really helpful thing to do. Second, you can look at your background and you can change that, so you can adopt the blurred background approach, or you can choose one of the other simple meeting room layouts to blur anything that's distracting in the background from wherever you're holding your meeting. Once you're happy with whatever you've chosen, now you can go ahead and click Join Now, which takes you into the meeting. Here I am, I'm clicking Join Now, I'm being connected, and woohoo, I'm in the meeting. Hope you found this short how-to video useful and it's answered any questions that you might have had. But as always, if there are any questions that you'd like to put, please do feel free to get in touch with me, and I'll do my best to answer them or find an expert who can do exactly that for you. Speak to you soon. Bye now. Copyright to this video belongs to Nelson College London, who reserve all rights associated with its use.